Once upon a time, in 1964, two dreamers, Phil Knight, a middle distance runner from Oregon, and his coach Bill Bowerman, believed that athletes deserved better shoes. They started with a small company called Blue Ribbon Sports, selling Japanese running shoes out of the trunk of Phil's car. They had no fancy office, no million-dollar marketing, just a vision to make the best shoes in the world. Bill Bowerman, obsessed with innovation, poured rubber into his wife's waffle iron to create a new kind of sole, lightweight, springy, and perfect for runners. That simple idea, born from a kitchen experiment, would one day shake the world. As the business grew, they decided it needed a new name, something powerful, something that would fly off the tongue and land straight in people's hearts. They chose Nike, named after the Greek goddess of victory. But the journey was far from easy. They faced lawsuits, financial struggles, and stiff competition. There were days when it felt like everything would collapse. Yet every time they stumbled, they remembered why they started: to help people achieve greatness. Then came one of the boldest moves, a new logo, the swoosh. Designed for just $35 by a young student, it wasn't just a symbol, it was a promise that every step you took in Nike shoes would move you closer to victory. Still, they needed a way to tell the world who they were. So they turned to athletes, real heroes who lived and breathed excellence. They signed a young rising basketball player named Michael Jordan. His passion, charisma, and talent exploded across TV screens, and Nike exploded with him. Just Do It was born. 3 words that captured the unstoppable spirit of every dreamer, every fighter, every ordinary person chasing an extraordinary goal. It wasn't just about shoes anymore. It was about courage, belief, and the fire to keep moving forward no matter what. Nike became a symbol, a movement, a way of life. From the tracks to the streets, from the Olympics to everyday gyms, people didn't just wear Nike. They became Nike. And even now the story isn't over. New generations lace up their sneakers, inspired by the same call to greatness. New athletes rise, new dreams are chased, and new records are shattered. Nike keeps evolving, innovating, and reminding the world that victory isn't a destination, it's a journey. The swoosh flies forward, carried by millions who believe that limits are just starting points. Every new day, Nike faced new challenges. New competitors emerged, trends changed, and technology transformed the way people lived and moved. But Nike never stayed still. They listened, learned, and led. They embraced innovation like an old friend. They created shoes that could adapt to your feet, apparel that could regulate your temperature, and even designs made from recycled materials, proving that greatness isn't just about winning, it's about making the world better. Nike didn't just stand with champions, they stood for something bigger, for justice, for equality, for the dreamers who didn't yet have a voice. They launched campaigns that shook the world, challenged conversations, and inspired millions to believe that sport can change lives. They invested in the future, in young athletes who hadn't made it yet, in communities that needed hope, in kids who dared to dream big from tiny playgrounds and dusty streets. And with every new sneaker, every bold campaign, every risk taken, Nike grew, not just in size, but in spirit. Because Nike knew one simple truth: success isn't a finish line, it's a race that never ends. The swoosh kept pushing forward, carried by the footsteps of every child learning to run, every artist daring to create, every fighter rising after a fall, and every ordinary soul refusing to settle for good enough. And somewhere out there, right now, someone is lacing up their first pair of Nikes, feeling that spark of possibility, ready to start their own impossible journey. Nike's story is not written in ink, it's written in action. It's written by those who refuse to give up. And as long as there are dreams to chase, as long as there are battles to fight, as long as there are hearts brave enough to believe in more. And so, Nike moved beyond just shoes and sportswear. It became a heartbeat for a generation that refuses to stand still. It became the roar inside a runner's chest at the final mile, the steady breath of an early morning boxer hitting the bag before the sun rises, the hopeful silence before a dancer leaps into the unknown, the grit in a student's eyes as they refuse to give up on a dream no one else can see. Every stitch in Nike's fabric carries a story, stories of comebacks, stories of sacrifice, stories of silent struggles and loud victories. Nike built arenas not just with concrete but with belief. Belief that every person, no matter where they come from, can rise. That every setback can be a setup for the greatest comeback. That every you can't can turn into just do it. They partnered with rebels, misfits, warriors, athletes who weren't always polished but were real. Because real stories move hearts, and hearts move the world. Nike became more than a company. It became a mirror, showing people not who they are, but who they could become. And yet, even with all the achievements, Nike wakes up every day like it's day one, hungry, humble, and ready to push the limits again. Because the world keeps changing, and Nike knows true greatness never settles. Today, somewhere in a village, a young boy runs barefoot chasing a dream. Somewhere in a city, a young girl ties her shoes tighter, determined to leave her mark. Somewhere inside every heart there's a spark whispering, maybe I can, maybe I will. Maybe today is the day I start. And Nike is there, not to run the race for you, but to run with you. Through the mud, the sweat, the doubts, the small wins, and the giant leaps. Because this story, your story, my story, Nike's story, it's still being written, page by page, step by step, dream by dream, and it will never end. And so, Nike's journey, built on dreams, sweat, failure, and courage, continues to inspire millions across the world. It reminds us that greatness isn't reserved for the chosen few. It's for anyone brave enough to take the first step, to chase the impossible, to believe when no one else does. Nike taught the world that real victory isn't found on podiums or in medals. It's found in the heart of every person who chooses to rise after falling, who chooses to keep going when it would be easier to quit, who chooses to just do it, even when the odds are stacked high. And though the world keeps changing, faster, louder, more uncertain, Nike stands tall, a symbol of what happens when courage meets action. The swoosh will keep flying, the dreamers will keep running, and the spirit of victory will echo forever in every corner of the earth. Because in the end, Nike isn't just a brand, it's a movement, it's a spirit, it's a reminder that inside each of us lives the power to do the impossible. And that power, it never fades, it only grows. Just do it.